we're here today to get a job done, and that job is to protect the forests and the rivers that we all love in Mount Hood National Forest. We learned on Tuesday afternoon at 4 o'clock that the Forest Service had granted a special exemption to the Canadian-based logging company Interfor to log the jazz timber sale outside of the normal seasonal restriction due to rain. On Tuesday afternoon, we learned of this. By Wednesday morning, Bark had volunteers in the forest to document the fact that at least one unit had been logged of the jazz timber sale. The reason that there's a seasonal restriction is because the impacts to soil in our watershed from heavy logging equipment is increased significantly when it's rainy and wet. The quick turnaround of our volunteers in the forest and the great work of our staff attorney Brenna Bell and attorney David Becker, who I don't believe is here today, they were able to immediately get a emergency temporary restraining order issued to the court yesterday by 2 o'clock. And the good news is that we currently have a 2-week reprieve while the preliminary injunction is being heard. There's no logging. According to our activists who were in the forest this morning at 7 a.m., the logging is officially stopped. But that doesn't mean that our job is done, because the waiver is still in place. So the reason that we're here today is because the most efficient and the only correct thing for the Forest Service to do is to remove the waiver so that they're not logging and increasing the impacts to the Clackamas River watershed. So that's what we're doing today. We want to make sure that the Forest Service hears one simple message, which is stop logging jazz! All right, so we're going to give this a try, and the first way we're going to do this is by calling Mike Chavis, the District Ranger of the Clackamas River Ranger District, where the jazz timber sale is occurring.
Hi Mike, this is Alex Brown at Bark. I'm actually downtown across the street from the regional office of the Forest Service. I'm here with a large group of Oregonians who care deeply about the Clackamas River, and we're concerned about the logging that's moving forward on the jazz timber sale. Everyone here just wants to send you a quick message, and here it is.
Stop logging jazz! Stop logging jazz!
All right.
Stop logging jazz!
Appreciate your attention to this issue, and hopefully we'll be talking soon. Thank you.
Right.
That was so much fun. That was great work, everyone. We started with the District Ranger. The next person is going to be the Forest Supervisor, and finally we're going to go to the Regional Forester, who happens to actually be in this office. So that was a warm-up, and everyone did a great job. So now I'd like to have a very special volunteer come up and talk a little bit about what she recently saw in her trip up to the actual jazz timber sale area.
I'm a canvasser for Bark, but I'm also a volunteer. And I've spent the last 2 years spending a lot of time in the jazz timber sale, either mushroom hunting or hiking or camping or surveying. So I've gotten to know the area pretty well, and it's really beautiful. I suggest spending time there. But yeah, so I've also talked to a lot of people over the last 2 years about the 2,000 acres that they want to log, and about how it's restoration work. And so my love for the area is really why, when I got a phone call from Michael at 6 o'clock the day before, I decided I'd go out at 6 a.m. and with 6 other volunteers, so that we could go look at these units that we had gotten a lead that were being logged illegally. And so when we got there, we started driving down the 6811. It's a really old dirt road for logging from a long time ago, and we immediately noticed really huge track marks from what seemed like really heavy machinery. They'd even cut trees along the sides of the road to get it all the way through. And so we went up this really muddy, gross road. And we knew that Inferior had their way. No, sorry, what did it was? Interfor. Oh, I'm sorry. But we knew that they'd had their way because there were 50-year-old to 70-year-old trees just piled up all over, just waiting to make their way out of the forest in Unit 60 or 37. So there was just slash everywhere. All of the understory was completely compacted, bare soil everywhere, and then over all of it was just a thin stream of water just kind of washing everything away. Not to mention the famous northwest rain just drizzling the whole scene. It was really heartbreaking. Water is like a really clear indication that you shouldn't be logging in an area, and it's really obvious when you see it. It's just all washing away. Yeah, and so I just can't stop thinking about how absurd it is that the Forest Service calls this restoration. Especially as somebody that's been there before and has been there after. Like, this is anything but restoration. And it just nearly needs to stop. So, I wanted to give Lisa Northrup for a supervisor call. Oh yeah, here we go. Color rush.
See, I told you not everything was going to go right. We have photos.
There's photos. This is, yeah, as you can see, the puddles, really great, right? No, it's not great. But, all right, so let's call Lisa Northrup. How about it? Okay, well, so I have a pretty large group of people here standing in front of, I think, your building. And, yeah. Okay, well, the regional office in Portland. And, we have a message for Lisa. And so, here it is.
Stop logging gas!
Now!
We've been busting our ass, and I'm so excited to see you all busting your ass to get down here. So thank you so much. It makes the hours of drudgery in front of the computer just slip away to stare out and see you all. So thank you. Okay, now there's one more thing I'm going to ask before I get into the spiel. Now I kind of want to be loud, because there's a lot of people in the federal building over there. This is a new headquarters for the Forest Service, by the way. What do you think? Yeah, right. It's not very friendly-like. I'm not sure if it's soundproof, but I think we should test it. We've got a message. We know our message. We're going to get into the exciting and more difficult chant later. But right now, I'd like us to just say, maybe they can hear if we say it enough times, like say 10, as loudly as we can to stop logging jazz. Okay, I'm going to bullhorn to them too. Okay, ready?
Stop logging jazz! Stop logging jazz! Stop logging jazz! Stop logging jazz! Stop logging jazz!
As Audie was saying, the Forest Service is touting the jazz timber sale as a restoration project. I've got a couple of questions for you. Is rebuilding 12 miles of previously decommissioned roads restoration?
No!
Is taking over 300,000 trees from a recovering ecosystem that otherwise would die to become snags or large woody debris, which plantations desperately need to recover, is that restoration?
No!
Is adding at least 17 tons of sediment into a watershed that is a designated Tier 1 key watershed for a threatened salmon, is that a restoration project?
No!
How about this? Is granting a waiver to let the Forest Service granting a waiver to let Interfor log on sensitive soils during a heavy rain event after the logging season has stopped? Is that restoration?
No!
Hell no!
So what is this?
Desecration!
Bullshit! Right, bullshit! So what this is the Forest Service doing business as usual using a different rhetoric. And this is something that Bark has seen time and again in the Forest Service, is they're trying to get out the cut, but call it restoration. And unfortunately, some environmental groups have fallen for it. But Bark has not had the wool pulled over our eyes, because we've been out on the ground in jazz. We spent about 800 hours out there now, ground truthing the entire thing. And not only have we gone to the forest before it's been logged, but we've been going to other timber sales after they were logged and seeing what Audie was saying. What it looks like is a mess. It's soup. There is runoff into the water. The soils are massively compacted. There are old growth trees getting logged that are not supposed to be logged because no one is holding the Forest Service accountable. And when they say things like, oh, we're working with Interfor to increase variable density and horizontal diversity in the forest by taking over half of the
Bullshit!
Thank you. No one but Bark is calling it what it is, which is profit-driven extraction on our public lands. Now, why jazz? Why have we thrown all of our organizational resources to this farm to sale? Why are you all here for jazz? Because it's a special area. Yeah, the Kallawash River watershed, right? Beautiful. Kallawash goes right into the Clackamas. There's several important things about the Clackamas. Can you name them?
Salmon!
Salmon, fish.
Drinking water!
Drinking water, fish and drinking water, two big ones. Another one, what actually brings economy to rural Estacada? Recreation, exactly. So the Clackamas is a drinking watershed for Westland, Lake Oswego, Oregon City, Estacada.
Shit, they're rich people. They can't do that.
Yeah, right? Now, what about the Portland watershed? Y'all ever been there?
Bull!
No, we can't even go hiking there.
Oh,
And
right,
yet, Portal, Lake Oswego, Westland, Oregon City have log trucks coming out of their drinking watershed all the time. They might be rich, but it's kind of a disparate impact. So there's water, there's threatened fish, there's recreation. There are a lot of things that we should be protecting the Kallawash for. And private, profit-driven extraction, masquerading as logging, is not one of them. All right. We are going to do a visual activity. Okay? So one of the big problems with jazz is its impact to soils and the soil impact to water when it runs off. I'm going to give you an earful about this after we do our visual activity, because then you're going to get it. You're going to be like, oh right, I just saw what water plus dirt does. So, to do the visual activity, and everyone, do you have your cup of dirt?
Get your cup of dirt.
Get your cup of dirt. I'll just plug, this dirt is fresh organic dirt from Tryon Life Community Farm. Thank you very much, Farm, for supplying some dirt. This is what a landslide looks like.
They're gonna give you this bucket.
All right, everyone get your
You're gonna
dirt.
put that bucket underneath. And you're gonna
Imagine you are a feller buncher. You are squashing the earth and making the dirt squeeze out. Imagine you are an earth flow. You have been bisected by a road. You are dumping the earth down on the ground. Has everyone put their dirt in? Everyone, oh wait, we've got some dirt to come. Ilona, get up there with your dirt. Come on, more dirt. Okay, now what happens if you mix water with dirt?
It's still raining! It's the Pacific Northwest! Go slow,
Plug in the culvert.
Got a blocked culvert!
Culvert. Oh, look at the Kallawash now. They actually, with one machine, one person operating one machine, go in, grab the tree by its little claws, cut underneath, pick it up, limb it, and put it down. All of that activity by one guy in the machine.
That way you don't have to create jobs either.
Exactly, not so many jobs created by fellow butchers. So that's the reference. That's what was logging up at the jazz site the other day. Fellow bunchers are forest bunchers. The soils aren't dry, that's a lie. Are you saying jazz is for restoration? Then it's time to give Interfor a vacation. We're talking a lot about soils. Soils are a huge issue up at jazz for two main reasons. One, most of jazz, over 1,000 acres of the timber sale, is designated high to moderate risk earth flows. Do people know what an earth flow is?
It's like moving earth.
It's a slow-moving glacier of soil. It's a big piece of soil that has movement. It's really cool to be out in earth flows because the trees are hummocky, the roads all crack up. The soil is alive. and it's moving. And when you bisect it by roads, and when you take the trees off, it moves even more. So Kallawash is the most geologically unstable watershed in the entire Mount Hood National Forest because of those earth flows. Not only is it unstable, it's been heavily impacted by past logging and roading. So there are some things in the forest plan to protect earth flows. One of the forest plan standards is that you shouldn't have more than 8% compaction in earth flows. Another one of the forest plan standards is that you should not have ground-based logging, i.e. using things like feller bunchers and tractor skidders in earth flows. Wow. In the Jazz timber sale, the soil compaction in earth flow areas ranges from 9% to 30%. Remember 8% was the maximum? So we're already over the maximum, and the Forest Service admits that it will increase compaction by 2 to 6% in every single earth flow unit. That means in earth flow units that are already at 30%, which is almost triple the maximum allowed, it's going to increase it. It's just exempting itself from its forest plan standard with no rhyme or reason.
So they don't even follow their own rules.
Exactly. Remember, we're suing them? That's one of the reasons. And because of all of those impacts, the impacts to water from the soils are much, much greater. These are but some of the things that we're looking at with Jazz. There are a lot of even more wonky legal issues. If you're curious, I invite you to talk to me because I like to do it, but you know, it's not for everyone. But that's why we're in federal court right now. And that's why we're challenging this right now. But courts aren't the only arbiter of the law. You know, public opinion is huge, and we need to tell Lisa Northrup, who was just instated as the forest supervisor 2 weeks ago, that this type of underhanded, not telling the public what's going on, letting them log out of season, and destroying the soils that they're sworn to protect is just, what did you say, Jen?
Bullshit!
That's right. That's what it is.
Right now we're going to call Kent Connaughton. He is the regional forester. He's been in the regional forester now for just over a year, I believe. And he is Lisa's boss.
Where is he right now?
Actually, I have no idea where he is, but he's in this building behind us. I have not been to the new building yet, so I don't even know what floor he's on, but I think he can hear us when we shout really loudly.
Can we practice shouting one more time? Ah!
Mr. K?
Hi, Mr. Connaughton, how are you? We have a message for you.
Stop logging jazz! 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 Stop logging jazz!
We did our second to last job. Good job, everyone. All right, so what's our last job today? When I left the BARC office, there were 296 emails that had been sent to the supervisor of Mount Hood National Forest. That's since yesterday when we sent out an email at 5 o'clock in the evening. We need at least 500 emails to Lisa Northrup by the end of today. Okay, here's what I want to do. One last round. 10 stop logging jazzes while these get handed out, and then we're going to break, and we all need to go our separate ways and get our goal of 500 comments to Lisa. So here we go. Let's get started.
Stop logging jazz! 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 Stop logging jazz!
If you go to the BARC website, not only will you find what you need to take to make an email action, but you will also see the link to our Facebook action as well. We're going to be posting photos from today's action on there. Please spread it around, share it with your friends, make sure people know what's happening in our backyard. There may be more work to do in the next 2 weeks.